Well, boys and girls, you're watching Riding with Marshall again, and again, I am still at Cheyenne Motorsports in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and riding yet another Royal Enfield. Why? Because I can, because they're fun. I like them. This one is the Royal Enfield Scram 411. So what's the 411 on this bike? Well, it's going to be very similar to the regular Himalayans you've seen other videos of, minus the short little fairings and engine guards and such things like that, which today we won't need because we're not actually... Thanks for the loud muffler. We won't need the engine guards today because we're not going off road. Even if we were, I'm not sure I'd need engine guards on this. It's pretty lightweight. It looks really cool though, especially from a kind of a 1970s perspective. Early 80s? What do you think? The red and the gold. I think it looks pretty cool. I could put one of these in my garage. So, once again, single rotor in the front. Looks like we got a little bit of an oil cooler here. You got the standard Himalayan engine, chain drive. What do we have for brakes in the back? You've got a single rotor in the back. So if you're doing 85 on the interstate and that truck stops in front of you, you might want to find an escape route. But then again, on a bike this light, should be easy to stop. Easy to work on. Starter motor. Plugs, plug wires. Yeah. Easy. Well, we'll be riding it soon. I'm on a Himalayan Scram 411. I've reviewed the standard Himalayan before, but the Scram is a little different. Speaking of the Himalayan, have you ever eaten a Himalayan deer? It's pretty tasty. The deer I had was local, but I found Himalayan in the road. I'll just go block myself now. So let's start with specs, those numbers everyone really wants to hear, but very few understand how the RPMs really affect the ride. Let's go to the IffyNet for those. Oh wait. So I can quote a bunch of specs to you and make it sound like I know what I'm talking about. Or I can show you the poster. Himalayan, starting at $5,499, under $6,000. Single cylinder, air cooled. 410 cc's, even though it's called a 411, it probably rounds up. Maximum power, 24 horsepower when you ring it out. Max torque, 23 foot-pounds of torque. 5-speed transmission, 4-gallon tank, roughly, meaning 3.5. 74 miles per gallon. That's kind of what you want when you're up in the mountains with only a 4-gallon tank. The Himalayan line of bikes have a bit of dive on the forks, and that's by design. The Himalayans were not only designed to ride the Himalayan mountains, they were actually tested there while doing it. There is a reason why they aren't sporting 1300cc twin-cylinder engines with water cooling. They are meant to be light and easy to get over obstacles. In fact, the Scram 411 is a stripped-down version of the original Himalayan, shaving off dozens of pounds. Some of that is the gauges, going from this agricultural design to this more modern instrument pack. You also don't get the luggage racks, an ADV beak fender, or a windscreen. What this does, besides losing weight, is it gives you a more classic upright bike look, instead of the 1940s off-road army-style machine. The handlebars are lower and more pulled back than the standard Himalayan. The bike sits lower, with only a 19-inch front wheel, making it easier to mount and easier to steer on pavement. The brakes aren't Brembo at this point, and their bite is soft. However, adventure riding, Usually means riding your brakes to keep control in gravel turns and sweeps. Hard braking in gravel can throw you to the ground. Either way you look at it though, both front and rear brakes should be used for a fast stop. The engine is a simple air-cooled single cylinder with only 2 valves activated by an overhead cam. This is bolted to a 5-speed gearbox. Why not 6 speeds? Well, my guess is that the average user isn't going to be wringing it out on a Wyoming interstate for a day. An extra gear adds extra weight, and the theme of this bike seems to be one less thing to go wrong. So just like the Scram's older brother, there are no ride modes. This line heeds to the old ways. Know how to ride without a computer tuning the engine and brakes for you. However, there is a difference with the brakes. The original Himalayan has ABS brakes that can be turned off. I read that the ABS on the Scram is always on. So think of it more of an urban enduro. If you're going around the world, I would get the bigger brother if I were you, especially when you start seeing the 450s hit the United States. Now, if you want a bike that can handle any broken pavement that comes your way, and then ride over the curb to take a shortcut across the lawn, this is your ride. If you want to try your hand at adventure riding without dropping $8,000 or more, then the Himalayan products should be given a test. They are not intimidating machines at all. So where is this all happening, these demo rides here? As I've said, we're at Cheyenne Motorsports. So let's see what they have. Because I love gawking at motorcycles. So if you wanted to buy a Royal Enfield today, you could. Ooh, I like the colors on that classic right there. Yeah, that one. And they're doing a deal with 1.9% financing for 2 years. And when you're talking about like a $6,000 bike out the door, 2 years is plenty to pay it off. Just pay it off in 2 years. Your interest would be, like I said, 2%. Less than that, almost nothing. So there we got a blue and black Scram. We got like the red one that I rode. Teal and black Int 650 and orange 650. I kind of like the orange, but you have the Continental GT twin. I didn't ride that one today because I'm not really interested in cafe racers. I'm old. I've got really good back and bones, but I still don't like leaning over a gas tank for any period of time. We have a gunmetal gray 650 shotgun. I don't know if that's the color, I just made that up. Blue shotgun. Let's see what else they have. I'm in the candy store. What do we have here? MT-09. Kawasaki Versus 1000. Yes, I do like those. Time to replace that windshield though. What's our cruiser here? That is an 1800.
Yeah, it's a VTX.
I think it is a VTX 1800. There are people looking for these VTX 1800s. Road Glide. Probably Road Glide Ultra or Limited. It's a 103 twin cam. Very old Honda Goldwing. I want to say 80s? What do you think? That's a 1500 Goldwing. Maybe 90s. Not the 80s. The 80s they didn't have fairings like that.
Early 90s maybe.
Yep, 90s. Got a Royal Enfield here. It's a 650. It's used. I would like to see price tags on these. That'd be nice to let me know what I'm talking about here. CF Moto, an Ibex 800. So CF Moto, I'm only just starting to explore. When you're looking at Chinese imports, you're wondering how long are they going to be able to import them and how long will it take to get parts for them. But I've heard the CF Moto line is very impressive. And we'll be doing a demo event to ride those later this year. And I must say it does look impressive, if not somewhat familiar. That engine looks very familiar to me. Well, we'll take a discreet walk inside. Bugs? Oh. My buddy Howard is pointing out that somebody put handguards on their road glide.
I was actually looking for something like that on my Goldwing.
Well, see, my old Goldwings, the mirrors covered my hands, like this does. But here we have, and I said this in the road glide review I recently did, that your hands are out in the wind. Well, here they've got mid apes, and your hands are very much in the wind, so they put some handguards on there. That is interesting. Thanks, Howard. That's a temptation.
Oh, yeah.
Versus 1000. Look at all the bikes in here. Look at that Beamer. Howard, you have the wrong Beamer. You need this one. An R65 LS. So speaking of Royal Enfields, I believe this was a 65? And a Kawasaki 650. Very cool. Yamaha Venture. Well guys, battery's almost dead on this camera, so I just want to say come up and see Cheyenne Motorsports if you're in Cheyenne, Wyoming, and check out what they have, huh? A Z900, Kawasaki Versys, KLRs, and of course, an assortment of Royal Enfields. Thanks for watching.